What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video. And real quick, well, honestly, there's quite a bit of stuff that I want to talk about before we go into the actual betting portion of the show. First, a little recap on Sunday's Coke 600. Very frustrating. I feel like Bowman had a good car, and I feel like he had a shot to win that thing. Truex was kind of up and down. Um, who else did we have on that card? At this point, I kind of forget. But bottom line is we didn't hit. And again, it's, the Coke 600 is one of those things where we barely ran half of the race, and so much changes. The track changes a ton. Obviously, it's a long race, so you've got to control the situation. You don't want to be too aggressive. 2, 3 stages, the second stage, the third stage, that aggression comes in the final stage. So I don't know. I feel like even though Truex, had a good solid car and then kind of jumped, to around 15th to 17th. It's such a long race. Like, a guy like that can get right back up there. Bowman, again, was running around top 5. He was passing cars. So you never know with the Coke 600. It was really, really frustrating to have a day end like that for us, and feel like maybe we would have lost, maybe, but those rain short ones are killer, especially for the Coke 600. Like, it's one thing if there's 35 laps to go in a 400-mile race that's run the mill track, and sure, right, like, okay, I'll take the loss. But the Coke 600 is just, it there's so much to it that makes it so much fun to watch from start to finish. And so, yeah, it was frustrating, but we move on. We had a great win at the All-Star race. Hopefully we can bounce back this weekend with some bets. And then real quick, I am recording this on 4:41 p.m. on Tuesday, and the news literally just dropped. Stewart Haas Racing is going to officially close its doors, shut down all operations in 2025. So at the end of this season. Definitely an emotional moment. It seems like from Tony Stewart and that organization. I'm reading some tweets, and it seems like it's a tough situation over there, but felt like we all knew it was kind of coming to an end. A lot of the reports said that this would happen. It started as like 1 or 2 charters they might be selling, and then in the last few weeks, maybe month or so, we've really heard that no, it seems like they're going to shut down all operations. And from a fan perspective, which is what I can give you, it hurts, it stings, it stinks. From Gene Haas and Tony Stewart, they've been around the sport for a while, especially Tony Stewart, with just everything he's done, right? From driver to driver owner, to full-time pure owner. He's done so much for the sport. And, Eric Almirola, right? Like, one of my favorite drivers of all time. You guys know that. Stewart Haas Racing guy. Ryan Preece, local guy who I root for. You guys know that. Stewart Haas Racing gave him a chance. Kevin Harvick, one of the greatest of all time. Stewart Haas Racing guy. Of course, Tony Stewart, like I mentioned, right? Drove for that team, won a championship. Harvick obviously won a championship. So it stings. It really stings from a fan's perspective. And now the question is, the charter stuff seems like Bob Pockris is reporting that 2311 Trackhouse and Front Row will each most likely, again, this is his reporting, not mine, will most likely each purchase a charter, and then there'll be one more. And I'm not sure at this point who will purchase that 4th charter. So, we'll see that come to fruition at some point. And then, right, like, the other question is these drivers. You've got Briscoe, you've got Barry, you've got Gregson, and of course, my guy, Ryan Preece. All young, all talented, all, I believe, should be given a second chance somewhere else. I mean, we've seen what Noah Gragson has done. He's been really, really impressive this season. Josh Berry continues to impress. Seems like he's got the backing from Rodney Childers. So there's something there. Maybe, maybe the two of them and that duo can go somewhere else. Chase Briscoe, probably the most reliable driver. And I wouldn't say that the past few years, right? That was Harvick, but this year, definitely the most reliable driver, Chase Briscoe, just outside the playoff cup. Maybe he still makes the playoffs. And then, of course, Ryan Preece, who, in my opinion, I have watched him, right, plenty of times from New England Racing, obviously, to the Cup Series. I think he's a super talented race car driver that just hasn't been given a fair shake at things. And in my opinion, I think he should also, land somewhere. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate where these guys go. But I feel personally like Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, and Noah Gragson will all still be in the Cup Series next year. I think Ryan Preece is probably one at this point undecided, but I would still love to see him rather in one of the top 3 NASCAR series. So without further ado, I know we did a lot of time wasting, but I thought, that stuff is important to talk about from kind of the Coke 600 that was or was not really. And then Stewart Haas Racing shutting down all operations. And that news literally just dropping, honestly, 15, 20 minutes ago. So, yeah, with that, before we get into the bets real quick, let's talk about the partnership with the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. It's how you could possibly listen to the podcast version of this show. So however you listen to your podcast, whether that be the podcast app, Spotify, however you listen, NASCAR Betting Preview Show, give that a search. Hit that follow button for my podcast and plenty other betting motorsports podcasts that you can listen to get you ramped up for the weekend's action. Of course, Gateway is this weekend, and the live show, the live NASCAR betting preview show, goes live on X, 8 p.m. Wednesday nights, and you can watch that again live on X. So there it is. We can now get into Gateway Worldwide Technology in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm high on Ford this week. I am very, very high on Ford this week. I think that would be, if I'm giving you a prop, really, there's 2 props I'll give you, but Ford, to me, I think as a winning manufacturer, I assume they'll probably be around plus 400, maybe plus 300 at this point. We've started to see the results of Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher get better and better. And of course, Logano coming to a short flat. We saw what he did at North Wilkesboro. So I think there's a lot of optimism around Ford. I still think you can get them around plus 350. We'll see. Actually, I guess now I should be able to. They've got top 10, winner, top 3, top 5 here. Let's see if they've got manufacturer. They do. So plus 240 right now is the number on Ford. And you might be able to shop around and find something better. That's DraftKings Sportsbook, though. But I mentioned Ford because I'm looking at 2 drivers. The first, Joey Logano. Him and Kyle Busch, in my opinion, have been the class of the field at this track in the Next Gen era for the last 2 years. Well, actually, this track has only been part of the Next Gen era. So, yeah, him and Kyle Busch have kind of been the class of the field. We saw what he did at the All-Star race, a short flat, what he did at Richmond, how fast and good he looked there. Another short flat, of course. Gateway is a short flat. He's going to be a factor. He's been so good at this track. Like I said, in the Next Gen era, I like Joey Logano to win. Number on him right now, plus 1,400. Love that number. I think that's a great one to attack for Joey Logano. Ryan Blaney, plus 850, the number for Blaney. I haven't really mentioned much of Ryan Blaney's name this year, which is kind of wild because he's the defending champion of the Cup Series. And he's been great at short flats. He's 3rd in the Next Gen era overall at short flats. He's got results at this track of 6th and 4th. So look, I'm high on Ford because I think Blaney, I think Logano, from what we've seen, their past results at this track, the way they've operated this year and years, really the years past in the next gen era at short flats, they are going to be elite. And on top of that, we've seen the strides that Brad Keselowski and Roush Fenway Keselowski continue to make. So I think Chris Buescher, I think Brad are going to be there, at the end when it counts. And, to a lesser extent, right? Like a team like Stewart Haas Racing, you've got Gregson, you've got Barry, who have shown glimpses and flashes at short flats as well. So Ford, to me, that's where the value is, and I feel pretty confident about that bet. So I say Ford. The only other really prop I see or team I see winning is JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing. You look at the numbers. Denny Hamlin in the next gen era has been the best and fastest overall at short flats. Martin Truex Jr. tied fourth, him and Christopher Bell. Johnny, where do you get these stats? I'll shout it out as I always do. iFantasyRace.com. Ryan rants, and what he does is amazing. He's got the best stats in my opinion. So when you look at short flat speed ranking since or the next gen era, right? It's been Denny Hamlin, it's been Christopher Bell, it's been Martin Truex Jr., all in that top 5. So I think, it's either going to be Joe Gibbs Racing or Ford. Those are the two ways I'm leaning. If I'm going to pick an outright for a driver from JGR, I would lean to Truex. Number at Truex is plus 850. To me, that's the best value, right? I see Bell at plus 1,000, but I know Bell just won the Coke 600. Bell hasn't really been that good this year. He's had plenty of stupid mistakes from pit road to kind of just being unlucky. Truex has been consistent. He's been consistent and knocking on the door. I've mentioned its name, I feel like, a couple times now, and we just barely haven't been able to break through. I like Martin Truex Jr. plus 850. He's got 5th and 6th place finishes at Gateway since its existence in the next or in the Cup Series. So much speed at short flats, and of course, like I just mentioned, the results here at Gateway favor the 19. So those are the main bets. I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to go with Eric Jones for a top 10. 14th place at Richmond, kind of was knocking on the door at points of a top 10. And if you remember the Phoenix race, he had a good car at Phoenix. He was up front for a lot of that race early, and then crashed out was the issue there. But Eric Jones hasn't had a top 10 in a long time. Not his only top 10 actually this season was at Daytona, but I think there's good value there. I think Toyota, they're going to be good. They are going to be good. And in my opinion, I think Eric Jones is a guy that 7th place in his first run at Gateway. So I feel like the value at plus 400 is something we should keep an eye on. Maybe it even shifts if he doesn't qualify well, but I actually think he will. I actually think he's going to probably qualify around 12th to 15th. And I think he can knock on the door and get himself a top 10. And for plus 400, I think that's a really good number to get Eric Jones at. So those are the bets for this weekend. Actually, let's run through them one more time. So Ford to win or JGR to win. The outrights we're looking at Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., and Eric Jones to me is the top 10 value bet for this weekend. I want to know what you guys think. Put your bets in the comment section below. Let me know if I'm crazy, whatever you want to say. Comment section below. Give this video a like. It goes a long way for the channel. And of course, if you're a first-time viewer, watcher, listener, however, hit that subscribe button and continue our journey. Let's win some money.